Hey guys, it's been a long time, hasn't it? Right, well, I'm trying to relax whilst doing these videos, and let me just tell you, it's hard work. I don't understand why it's so difficult to just sit here and talk into a microphone, but sometimes it is. It's even harder editing a video as well, because I'm really not very good at it, as you all know. But hey ho, let's crack on. Now, let me take you back in time to before this time last year, really. This is the time when things were meant to be done. I was hoping to enter the Armies on Parade last year, and the initial idea was to continue on with the Batman theme, and well, I decided against that because each model did take a lot more time than I was able to actually work on the models for, and also the set piece and everything that I had in mind would take a lot more time than I initially realised, and also I was lacking on space and storing it and transporting it, and just everything to do with it made it a bad idea. But maybe one day in the future I could probably get back to doing it if I eventually get a studio. But hey ho, for now I decided to change the idea and I went for a old versus new. So I was going to do a bunch of old orcs and a bunch of new orcs fighting off against something, and have an old version and a new version. So I had a look at my old kits and stuff like that, and I found out that I still had my original Space Hulk Terminators. So I thought, oh, I could do those. They could be the old counterpart, but I don't really want to buy any new Terminators. So I asked my friend, who happens to be a Blood Angels player, and I says to him, could I borrow a squad of your Terminators, please, until the end of Armies on Parade? I'll paint them up. Obviously, I will do them in a nice, respectful way, and then return them back to you at the end of the event. Obviously, he agreed, and he was happy at the thought that he was getting a free paint job off me, which obviously made me feel rather special. The fact that somebody likes my paint jobs is great, you know, always warms your cockles, as they say. But hey ho, that sadly didn't turn out, because I started the project with my Terminators and I wanted to do them, like I say, in some way that is classical but also not. I want them to stand out more than normal. So I decided to paint them in a candy red, which is very, very, very beautiful when done, but in order to achieve that, I had to actually figure out how to do that. So I watched somebody's video on a Gunpla, I think it was. Either way, he'd done an absolutely outstanding job. He listed all the colours and everything like that, and I wanted to give it a go. So I went out and I got the paints and the candy varnish stuff that I needed, and I figured I'd test them out on my Terminator models first. So I got rocking and rolling, started undercoating them, started highlighting them, and then sprayed the candy, and things started to get difficult for me. I started to get poorly at that point, and I'm still unsure what exactly has happened to me, but I started losing the use of my hands. I couldn't hold a paintbrush for more than 10 minutes at that point, and as difficult and ridiculous as it sounds, I kept persevering until it was the point where it was 5 minutes holding a paintbrush, 3 minutes holding a paintbrush, 30 seconds holding a paintbrush, and then not actually being able to pick one up at all, and things started to fall through the cracks. And I became worse and worse and worse, and I was completely unable to paint at all. And then the end of the event came and went, and I still was unable to paint. And then Halloween came and went, I was still unable to paint. Christmas came and went, I was still unable to paint. All the way up until 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, I think it was. Yeah. 4 weeks ago. And the funny thing about it is, I woke up that day and I thought, my hands feel a bit better today. I'm going to have a go at picking up a paintbrush. So I sat down to paint my friend's models, and I kid you not, 30 minutes later, I got a text message from him saying, "Hey up, have you still got my Terminators?" And that's when it all hit me. I realized just how long it had been, and what sort of coincidence is that the day I feel better and pick up a brush and start working on his models, I get a message from him asking about them. You can't make it up. You really can't make it up. So I rushed about for the remaining time until the time we agreed to meet up and me to give them him back. And I did everything within my power to paint them as best as I can, but my hands still aren't quite there. And although my friend is very, very happy with the paint job in the end, they weren't finished, and I'm very ashamed of it. And it's really, really done something to me. It's done something to my head. It's embarrassed me. I've let myself down. I agreed to something with him, and I failed to hold up my end of the bargain. And I know things were out of my control in the sense of being poorly and unable to actually do anything, but I still didn't achieve what I set out to achieve. And yeah, it put me in a big depressive space. I didn't really want to record the whole actual painting of the thing because, again, I'd realized just how long it had been and how little time I had to try and rectify it. And yeah, I don't know how else to explain this, and the footage I've got is just dire of it all because my headspace wasn't there. And this video in total is just more of an apology to my friend for my illness getting in the way, for agreeing to something that should have been achievable but didn't end up being so. Although my friend is perfectly happy with the 85% done paint job, he still thinks they look beautiful. You know, is a wonderful, wonderful lad, and I'm lucky to have friends like him. I really am. I'm really, really lucky to have friends like him. And I think if that conversation had gone any other way, I don't know how my mental health would actually be doing if that conversation was bad. And I know this is like a bit like, oh, woe is me, blah, 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 blah. But you've got to think this hobby, it's a solitary hobby. We sit alone, we build alone, we paint alone. And the only time we get to get together is if we've already got a pre-existing social group that plays. And it seems to be harder and harder to actually find good friends within the hobby. And this is something that I really do not like about the hobby, is that there isn't really any way of meeting people proper unless you like fully in. For new people to actually meet each other, it's very difficult unless you like doing the battle honors in store. But all of the in-store things I've recently found out have changed. It's all learning based now. There's no open hobby in the store, so you can't just go in and paint and build or whatever. You have to be going in and learning, which again I think's very strange. I think they do need some sort of way of people being able to meet in person, maybe like social hours or something. Maybe do that like a couple of nights a week or on a weekend or something, like 2 hours where people can just come in and talk and make friends and talk about the hobby and things like that, you know? Because at the end of the day, they're pulling people into the store, and no doubt somebody will pick up a paintbrush, somebody will pick up a paint pot, but they're there to make friends, you know? And I don't understand as a business why they don't do that. But anyway, this is neither here nor there. This is my opinions on the state of Games Workshop opposed to the state of my body and my hands. But yeah. So basically, it turns out that I think that one of the reasons why my hands were having issues is because I have been recently diagnosed with moderate sleep apnea. So another incurable illness to go with my other two. which is fantastic. So I've now got a hat trick of illnesses and poorlies. But hey ho, that's neither here nor there. But yeah, I don't know what else to say on this. I wanted this to just be kind of free form and me just offloading and trying to feel better, putting my words out there. Hopefully some of you guys will be kind enough to give me some advice. But yeah, it's one of them. I'm disappointed with the final result of my friend's models because they're not complete. I'm happy with the models that I've done. I'm disappointed with the actual project overall because it never happened. But I think it is time now to accept my mistake, learn from it, understand that my health issues do get in the way more than I want them to, and work on things that are still very obscure and still very fun, and carry on building my Orc collection. So I just want to say thank you very much for listening to me. I'm sorry this video has just been a bit weird and me rambling for 11 minutes or whatever it is. But yeah, it's one of them. We make mistakes. We have to move past from them. And that's what I need to realize. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. And I do hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Don't forget to do usual YouTubey thingies for me. I really, really appreciate it. Take care. Bye.